Good afternoon. My name is Jason Dunn, and this is my presentation for Case 3-1. This case deals with credit card companies and their customers who have a contract clause that says any potential dispute that the customer may have with the company, to resolve that dispute, they bring in a third-party arbitrator or through the process of arbitration. Now, what that means is that usually a lawyer, like it says in the text, a retired lawyer or something like that, will be hired by the credit card company to come in and look over the dispute from both parties, and then make a decision the best way to handle that dispute, and that decision is legally binding. So even though it's not a court trial per se, it's still legally binding to both sides, and whatever that decision that the arbitrator comes up with, both parties must abide by that. So the question is, do I agree with that or not? Well, honestly, I think it is a pretty good idea, because I know me personally, I wouldn't necessarily have the resources to go out and hire a lawyer, file a lawsuit, and all of that, and if I did have a dispute with a credit card company. And arbitration tends to get handled a whole lot quicker as well. I mean, if you're filing lawsuits and going to court trials and everything, that could be months and months and months. This usually gets handled, I'm guessing, probably less than a month. I mean, a couple different meetings, and then the arbitrator lays down their decision, and you go from there. The only I guess question I would have about it is, since these arbitrators are hired by the credit card company themselves and they're under contract, are they truly unbiased, and are they going to be neutral and fair to me as a consumer and not who their employer is? Now, a New York Times article said that the 94% of the cases that arbitrators did for these credit card companies went in favor of the credit card company. Now, I know that just seems like a little too much to me. I don't think that's possible, that all these disputes were won by the credit card company. And I think that has a lot to do with your employer pressuring you a little bit. These arbitrators are under pressure to rule in favor of the credit card companies, or they might not get hired again. So that's the only way I agree with the arbitration, is that as long as these arbitrators will actually be unbiased and not, and fair to me, then I'm cool with that. Because like I said, I don't have the money to go out and hire a lawyer and go and have the time either to, go through all these court proceedings. So as long as I say it is the duty of the credit card companies to hire these arbitrators and get this arbitration process going. However, I don't believe they should be under contract. I feel like being under contract it makes too much of a close-knit tie to the company and puts pressure on you to rule in their favor. Now, if you're just, hiring a different arbitrator every time, or just somebody completely neutral that's not under contract, just for one time, you hire them for one time, and then, I think that's the best way to do it, because that means they have no reason to rule in your favor or the company's favor. So that's going into the second part of the question. What changes would I make? I think I would do that. I would say, hey, we need to make sure that we have no contracts for these arbitrators. They're paid on a one-time basis per case. And also, it is the clause in these contracts that the consumers don't know is that the arbitration is mandatory. You can't file a lawsuit even if you wanted to. And that's the part and I don't agree with that either. I say you should have a choice. Like, if you want to do the arbitration, that's great, that's fine, we'll do that. But you should also have the choice. If I do want to file a lawsuit, then that's what I'll do as well. I feel like if you you say you file a dispute, you say you file a claim, whatever the case may be, the credit card company says, hey, we can hire an arbitrator and we can go down this route, or you can file a lawsuit, your choice. I feel like it should be that should be written in the contract of the credit cards, saying, hey, if you ever have a dispute, you can file a lawsuit, or we can go through third-party arbitration funded by us. I feel like you should have that choice, not just one or the other. And like I said, if you do go down the arbitration route, they need to be completely unbiased, not on contract, and truly a third party. I think that's just fair. I think that would help people understand it more and feel more confident that their dispute is handled correctly and fairly. And also, I just feel like it'd be more, just looks better, more business ethical. I think you'd honestly get more business like that because you'd be more transparent and more honest about things. And I'm sure that 94% rate that goes towards the credit card companies would come down to more of a 50-50 type split, obviously depending on the situation. Every situation is different. But I think that number would come down more in favor to the actual consumers and the customers than the credit card companies. So that's what my take on all this is. Like I said, I think the arbitrators should be truly third party and not under contract, and that you should also have a choice whether you want to do arbitration or file a lawsuit. Those are I think that's the best way to make this more fair for everybody, more transparent, and I think more credit card companies or the lawmakers should look into this, and I think it would be better for everybody. Thank you. This has been my presentation for case 3-1.